everybody, and welcome to the October 2020 episode of your favorite segment on my channel, and yes, mine as well, Out of the Vault. If you are new here, let me just say welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, and for all of you returning, I'm sure that you were all very curious to know what we were going to be reviewing today, especially considering the fact that just last month, we reached the milestone of reviewing all of the 58 Disney canon classics. So for now, we really don't have any new canon classics to talk about here on 2020's episodes, but I am happy to say that not only will we be getting a new Disney canon classic next year in the early portion of 2021, we'll be getting another one at the end of 2021. So we will be talking about the 59th and landmark 60th Disney canon classics in the library, and I'm very excited about that. But for now, we're going to continue into the wondrous world of Pixar, because we still do have a few of those to review as well. And we're going to be talking about probably one of the more underappreciated in the entire library. It was the second film in the Disney Pixar library from 1998, and that, of course, was A Bug's Life, starring a very, very awesome, charismatic cast, including one of my favorite actors, Dave Foley, Seinfeld's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Kevin Spacey, Phyllis Diller, Dennis Leary, David Hyde Pierce, Bonnie Hunt, so many amazing cast members. And after watching it, just to review it for you guys, I didn't even know that the late Roddy McDowall was even in this film as well, and it was actually his very last performance in any shape or form in film before he unfortunately passed away. So, A Bug's Life not only is one of the more, shall we say, underappreciated Pixar films, but it was also one of the few films in Pixar that came under a lot of drama, because around this time, we also received DreamWorks' first CGI animated film, Ants. And what was so dramatic about that film is because you got Ants coming out from DreamWorks, and just a few months later, A Bug's Life comes out from Disney. There was a little bit of bad blood because Jeffrey Katzenberg had just recently left Disney and started up the brand new DreamWorks animation grouping along with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen, and of course they made their entire DreamWorks empire in animation and film in those recent years. But because of the fact that he had left on such bitter terms, he kinda, sorta, mighta taken the idea of A Bug's Life from John Lasseter and gave it to DreamWorks to give us Ants. So there was a lot of bad blood, there was a lot of drama, there was even, I think, a couple of court battles in regards to the property of animated insects. But we got both movies, and thank goodness that there is a fan base for both of these films. But today, we're here to talk about A Bug's Life. So, A Bug's Life, interestingly enough, is actually an animated, family-friendly take on the legendary Akira Kurosawa film, Seven Samurai. It is the story of a young, innovative ant named Flick who just wants to do good things and make a difference for his colony. His colony is unfortunately in bad places because of the fact that they have to gather their crops to feed an army of grasshoppers who come every spring, take the food, and eat the food, and they basically are guaranteeing the protection of theirs towards the ant colony, but really they are angry, bitter, abusive grasshoppers that really do not care about the ants. So they're just really taking advantage of them. Flick believes that that is wrong, but Flick is also the village idiot, to them at least, because everything that he tries to do ends up failing and just making things worse. So he decides that they should go find an army of bigger bugs to come and take on the grasshoppers, and the colony believes that's a good idea, not actually getting the fighter bugs, but just to get Flick away from the colony because of the big mistake that he made that day, and now they have to regather crops. So he actually goes out and he finds what he thinks are warrior bugs, but they're actually just circus bugs. So then it's just a matter of being true to yourself, being true to your friends, and overcoming great odds for the sake of your community. And that's pretty much what A Bug's Life is in a nutshell. And yes, is this movie a fantastic fantastic Pixar film. It's not. It really is one of the more average films, but it's got its moments. There are a lot of great things in this film. I mean, the cast itself is so dynamic. I love Francis the Ladybug, of course, played by Dennis Leary, because he looks like a woman. They think he's a woman, but he really is a brute man. But also, the best part about these circus bugs is when they're actually living amongst the ants, they really look within themselves and they find qualities that they never even knew they had. This film also includes the late Pixar wonderkin Joe Ranft, who plays the legendary Heimlich the Caterpillar. Also, the late Madeline Kahn plays Gypsy the Moth. What a great performance that she had, even though it was minor. That's another thing I really appreciate about this film. Some of the characters that just have the most minor of roles end up just still being very enjoyable. I mean, Brad Garrett as Dim is just a joy to watch when he's on screen as the big, overpowering, yet gentle dung beetle. It's absolutely adorable. But also, I will say that one of the best things about this film is something that very few Pixar films have, and it's the villain. Because some of the Pixar films do have a straight-up villain, and some of them just have a Shades of Grey kind of antagonist. We saw that specifically in Toy Story 4 with Abby Gabby. But Hopper is a straight-up Pixar villain, and he is fantastic. Say what you want about Kevin Spacey now, that's fine. But Kevin Spacey as Hopper is fantastic, and I also love how he plays off of his brother Molt, who is played by the great Richard Kind. What a great performance as Molt. I love those two together, and I just love how brutally scary Hopper can be sometimes, even though there are some points in time where he can be very, very funny, which I also really like. But also, to see a person of the stature of Kevin Spacey, especially when you saw the kinds of movies that he was making. I mean, just the following year, he would win the Academy Award for American Beauty. That's a transition. To go from straight-up mature villain to straight-up family villain, that is just a real talent, and I love what he did in this film. Again, it's not the best. It's because when you take a look at Pixar and people ask you, what are the best Pixar films, you are never, ever going to hear A Bug's Life. Maybe you will, but it'll be a rarity. You will hear things like WALL-E, Up, Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles. You probably will never hear A Bug's Life. But you know something? Being that it was the second Disney Pixar film, especially considering the fact that when people were thinking of Pixar, all we had was Toy Story, and we already knew that a Toy Story sequel was on the way, it was just nice to see a whole different bunch of characters, just in a different kind of scenario, and it was good. Also, for me personally, I love Dave Foley, and him as Flick, the lovable loser, he is definitely the part of the film that I connect with the most. I am someone that has a very good-natured soul, a kind heart, and I do want to help people, but sometimes when I do, I don't always end up truly helping people, and sometimes I end up hurting people. And it's not that I want to, just sometimes it happens, and that's just life. But in this case, A Bug's Life. I am going to be giving A Bug's Life 2.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss A Bug's Life, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.